Hola, bienvenidos a Spanish con Señora Bisbee. Hoy vamos a hablar de mandatos formales o en inglés formal commands. Un repaso sobre mandatos antes de empezar. Pues mandatos, commands, are direct instructions to someone else. So they're not suggestions. It's not like saying, oh, you need to do your homework. It's saying, do your homework. That is a command. It's a direct instruction. Remember, those divide into two types. There's affirmative commands, which basically tell someone what to do. So do your homework would be an affirmative command because I'm telling you to do something. Versus a negative command tells someone not to do something. So don't do your homework right now, we're eating dinner. Hoy vamos a trabajar con mandatos formales específicamente, con usted y ustedes. So we've got these two subtypes of the formal commands. Now remember that we target our command audience the same way you would for what you would use usted to ustedes for normally. So usted is used for one individual, you're directly addressing them, and it's someone that you're going to be more formal and respectful towards. So possibly someone that's older than you, an authority figure, for example, your boss, or someone you don't know very well, or maybe you're in a business situation, so you're being formal, you would use usted. Now ustedes, remember that all Spanish-speaking countries use ustedes, but there's a little bit of a difference once we get to Spain. So in all countries besides Spain, anytime you want to address a group of people, ustedes is the way to go. But if you're in Spain, remember they have vosotros as well. So specifically we're going to use ustedes when we're addressing a group, but a group of people that we would be formal with. So just an important distinction to keep in mind. Now, how do we conjugate these formal commands? Well, it's pretty simple. The nice part about these is that it's the same process for both affirmative and negative commands. Just for negative, you add a no to make it negative. Unlike two commands where there were two completely different processes to make these. So, for this conjugation setup, all you do is you take the verb you want to use and you put it in the first person singular of the present tense. That's just a fancy way to say the yo form of the present tense. That accounts for any stem changes you might need or go verbs that'll help with this. So that's why we use the present tense yo form. We take off the O from that ending, and then we add the opposite ending. So if you're working with an AR verb, you're going to add either e or en. If you're working with an ER-IR verb, you'll add a or on, depending on whether you're using usted singular or ustedes plural. Simple as that. And of course, we know there were irregulars coming, right? I mean, it's Spanish. There's going to be some irregulars in these verb forms. Well, irregular formal commands are pretty simple, especially if you've learned two commands ahead of time. Car, gar, zar, changes still apply, so verbs that end in car, gar, or zar will have their usual spelling changes. So the C in car will change to a QU, the G in gar will change to a GU, and the Z here changes to a C. So just be aware those changes still apply before you add on your endings. Then you'll see the same 5 irregular verbs that we saw in the to commands for the negative to commands specifically are pretty much the same as far as their conjugations go. There's just no S's anywhere. So they're the forms you would expect if you've seen those negative to commands before. Dar, to give, would be de, con acento, or den. Ir, to go, vaya, vayan. Ser, to be, but in situations from the acronym DOCTOR, sea, sean. Estar, to be, again, but in situations that do with place, este, con acento, estén, con acento. And saber, to know facts and information, sepa, sepan. And of course, to make these negative, you just stick a no before them, and you're good to go. Just a review of what we do with object pronouns with commands. Now remember, object pronouns can include things like reflexive pronouns, direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns. Those are all types of object pronouns. So remember that Spanish is very particular with these. With negative commands, the pronouns go before the command. It just has to work that way. So for example, maybe you're having some sort of barbecue and some family member put out a bunch of little sandwiches, finger food, delicious stuff. but you're not supposed to be eating them yet, and they catch you and your friends sneaking some little sandwiches. So that los for them would go before coman. So no los coman, don't eat them. Because it's a negative command, the los goes before it. But when we're talking about affirmative commands, so you're telling someone to do something, these pronouns must attach. So maybe not enough people are eating the sandwiches later on in the day, so your family member is like, eat them, eat up. Then we would do something like this. The los would now attach to the end because we're telling someone to do something. You're probably like, wait a minute, there's an accent mark. Why is that there? Well, there's a rule in Spanish, so basically if we break it down, whatever the new combination is once you add the pronoun, you need to count the number of syllables that are there. If it's 2 syllables or less, you don't need to do anything. But if it's 3 syllables or more, we need to add an accent mark to the verb. So where does that go? It's going to go on the next to last syllable of the verb before the pronoun is added. So in that case here, if we have just the verb, coman, 2 syllables, the next to last one is this right here, and we know accents can only go on vowels, so it would go over the O. Just be careful of syllables that have double vowels because you'll have to figure out which is the stronger vowel of the two so you don't break them up and cause awkward pronunciation. But that's a rarer occurrence that you won't run into quite as much. But again, next to last syllable, if it's 3 or more syllables total, gets an accent mark. Alright, take a second, pause the video, try these on your own. Now watch out for object pronouns. 1 and 3 are cases where an object pronoun should be used. Okay, let's see how you did. So, give me the watermelon for the picnic. Denme la sandía para el picnic. Denme is only 2 syllables, so I don't need an added accent there. Don't go for a walk now. No den una caminata ahora. Or perhaps use pasear, in which case you would say no paseen ahora. That would be fine. And lastly, put them, what's them? The melons, there. Póngalos allí. Now we've got a verb combo with the object pronoun los for them, and that overall total is 3 or more syllables, so we got to make sure we don't forget that accent mark. And that, mis amigos, is the basics you need to know for formal commands and how to use them in Español. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope it explains some things so you're more confident with those command forms, especially with the object pronouns. Buena suerte, good luck, hasta pronto!